Hello everyone, how you doing?
Good.
First demo time of the year, gonna be starting off with a bang. First bang is a car accident. Lots of them happen. This is a man who wants that to stop happening. I have
Totally
not.
avoidable.
It's completely avoidable, he says. So we're gonna learn about that. After that, we're gonna have Ben Laifsky talk about his convention solutions product. He's super excited about. Yay, Ben! He's bringing lots of energy. And then after that, I'm going to introduce you to Grayson Company, which is my board of 12 AI advisors that can help any business in all sorts of areas. So I will have Julian introducing me after Ben presents, and then I'll introduce Ben and Will. So for those that don't know Will is the founder of co-founder
and CEO.
Co-founder and CEO of Saferide.ai. And he thinks that there's too many people that die in car accidents. Is that true?
Yeah, it's like 45,000 a year.
45,000 a year?
Just in America.
Just in America, he says. So without further ado, one thing, I forget. When I start clapping, that means his time's up. And then I want you to clap too. So can we all practice clapping right now? I want it big and loud.
Wow.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Now,
thank you.
one last thing. It's not an easy thing to come up and present. We've had some people come up and struggle and some won't, and at this stage we don't know who it is. So we're going to clap ahead of time and give him some praise again. One more round of applause. Oh, he's basking in it. Vegas is a friendly town. And with that, I'll leave it to Will.
Excellent. Is that the microphone that I need to use? Can you all hear me?
If you want.
We don't really. This is probably unnecessary.
Bullies me for it and then doesn't use it.
I'll just yell at all of you.
All right.
All right. So yeah, as Josh mentioned, there's a big problem. Just people keep dying in cars. And there's a lot of people that are working on self-driving cars, and that's cool. But the driving isn't really the problem. It's the crashing that's the problem. So how do we get to a world where instead of road deaths increasing like 30% over the last decade, as they have, used to be about 35,000 a year, now it's like 43,000 a year. How do we take that down to like maybe 5 or 8,000, as some countries which have required technology that stops car accidents already have? Shockingly, that country is Russia. We'll worry about that later. This is Saferide. It's our company. And this is a box. This box has 2 cameras that look at the road and 1 camera that looks at the driver. It connects to the car's CAN bus system. CAN bus is the central control system which has been mandated in all vehicles sold in the United States since 1997, and basically every car produced all around the world since 2006. When you press the gas or the brake in your car, you're not like pulling a wire that opens a valve on the engine or like actually pushing something that actuates the brakes. You're sending a signal to the car's CAN bus system, which then interfaces with the controllers on those various components: engine, transmission, brake, et cetera, and that's what causes those parts to move. And so our thought process was that if we could integrate with the CAN bus system, in our case by reverse engineering the most popular makes and models from the last 20 years. That's what I spent the first year and a half of this company doing, because automakers don't really care to tell you how their CAN buses work, and they're all programmed differently. That was a very fun time. But the point is that if you can do that and you can hook up some vision models to it, then you can stop the cars from hitting people. Interestingly, you can also keep the car in the center of its lane. And not only can you stop it from hitting people, you can stop it from hitting other cars. And so I've got a couple little demo videos to show you. This is Saferide driving my Volkswagen. See if it goes. Hey, look at that. From LA back to Las Vegas. I think that was in November of last year. So what you're looking at, no hands on the wheel, no feet on the pedals. We're going about, 75? Yeah, 70. And so what's happening right now is that the 2 cameras that are looking at the road are feeding into a vision model which is trained on about 10 million miles of driving data. 1 million miles is actual data, 9 million miles generated footage, which is a fun trick if anyone's training models. It understands its relative position because there's a GNSS unit in this box. GNSS is like a higher fidelity version of GPS, so it's accurate to within a couple of inches. And as a result, we know that we're on a road in a lane. That checks against the vision model that says, hey, look, there's a road and we're in a lane. Great, let's stay on that road and stay in that lane. We do not change lanes. We do not make 90-degree turns. We will not navigate you from your house to the highway to the office and back, but If you're riding on Tropicana from one side of town to the other, we will keep you at a safe distance relative to traffic. We'll stop if someone runs out in front of your car. We'll stop at red lights. We'll stop at stop signs. We'll continue after those points if the intersections are clear. So the short version is that if you know you're going to be driving in a given direction for a while, you can press the button that used to turn on cruise control in your car, and now you're engaged in hands-free cruise. One more quick video to show you guys. So the one you just saw, Volkswagen here in LA. This one is in a Honda in Atlanta. So it gives you a sense of how it performs in traffic. It's pretty fun to do demos for this. Our customers are car dealerships. So if you guys know anyone that runs a dealership or owns a dealership, please come up to me afterwards, let me know. Car dealerships, they only make about $500 net profit when they sell any given used vehicle. The prices for used vehicles are fixed by Kelley Blue Book, and banks will only finance up to that number. So even if you're the best car salesman in the world and you get me to pay $5,000 more for a Prius than I really oughta, the bank's not going to approve that loan. And so as a result, they're stuck in this sort of commodity business where no matter what dealership you are, no matter how good your salespeople are, you're only making like $500. And the crazy thing is that scales all the way up to even a $50,000, used Mercedes G-Wagon or whatever, costs $50,000. We sell to car dealerships for about $600 per unit. Dealerships put it into their fleet of inventory, and then they can increase the sale price of that inventory by $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, whatever the market will bear. In the case of most of our dealer partners, they're looking at about a 10% increase from the price of the vehicle. So on a $20,000 car, $2,000, so on and so forth. So essentially, if you're a dealership, this enables you to triple your profit on every vehicle you sell, and it creates a much higher level of safety for everyone on the road and a much higher level of convenience for the drivers as well. I'll also show you a little bit of a Figma situation. So let's see. In addition to being able to control the vehicle's behavior, because we're positioned inside the CAN bus, we can monitor and measure all sort of parameters of the vehicle's operation. And we can enable remote convenience management, things like turning the heater on in your car, turning the ignition on in your car, turning it off remotely. If it's cold in the winter, you want to warm it up for 20 minutes before you go out, or if it's hot in the summer here, right, turn on the car and then let the AC run for a little while so it's not so boiling hot when you get in. Even in the future, we'll be able to do things like speed limiters. So if you've got a 15-year-old who's driving for the first time and you want to make sure they're not doing 95 on the freeway, you can set it to 80 or whatever number you so desire. So that's pretty much Saferide. That's the business model. That's our technology. Vision models are all started off as open source vision models. These vision models were first developed in 2016, open sourced in 2019, and then modified by us for our applications. So it's very important timing. Another thing too, interesting note, if anyone cares about hardware, this box cost us about $600 to make. In 2019, when these boards were produced, it cost upwards of $1,000 to get a board that can run 12 TOPS of processing power, especially in a chip that's designed for neural nets. Now this year, we can have boards that run 12 TOPS of neural net processing power for $150. So if anyone cares about vision and hardware, now is a very, very exciting time compared to the last 15 years. So that's the majority of the stuff. The next piece that I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a sort of a fun lesson, something that anyone who's building a product will maybe appreciate or take some benefit from. As I mentioned a moment ago, right, we've got our position in the CAN bus, and so through that we can do all these convenience features, but we can also infer the condition of any given component of the vehicle. We can measure your braking distance every time you're braking, and we can tell that, hey, your braking distance has increased 20% over the last 6 months, you probably ought to go get your brakes done. Your transmission is shifting too slowly, it's out of time, you really ought to get a transmission service for a couple $100 before you go and spend $3,000 replacing the transmission because it's shot. For our dealership customers, that matters a lot because dealerships make a lot of money on sales, sure, but they make most of their money on service. And after they sell a car, they don't really have much in the way of mechanisms to get people to come back to them for the services for that vehicle. A lot of people just go to whatever shop is closest, right? So in our case, because the dealership is selling the product, we can use that data to drive service back to them. And as we talked to more and more dealership customers about this, it was very clear that the service referral angle was hugely important for them. And as we with our team started talking more about this, we kind of realized that, well, all right, what we're basically creating is a service referral marketplace, right? Where the demand side are all the drivers with Saferide units in their cars, and the supply side is all the dealerships. Well, if you're building a marketplace, it's very important that you increase the liquidity in that marketplace as quickly as possible. Supply side is fairly easy. We've got all the dealerships and we can make partnerships with them, that's great. Demand side, well, maybe that's a little more complicated, because if you're not positioned in the CAN bus, it can be difficult to infer a vehicle's condition. However, vehicles have methods by which they tell you these things, namely the lights on your dash. And so we started to realize that, well, instead of limiting the service referral piece to people who have the hardware installed, might it be possible for us to create a sort of, film the third act of the movie, first part in the filming process, if that makes sense, and produce an application that people can have on their phones such that anytime something happens with their car, they can just press the equivalent icon that's showing up on their dash and it can generate a service referral to a dealership. The main problem there would be integrating with the dealership software, because how do you schedule a service appointment, right? You got to get their API or something. But none of the DMS companies have an API, so you can't interact with any of their software. Not a problem in 2025, because we have phone agents. So how this service referral application works is that you enter your car information, you click whatever button. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Idiocracy, but all of the interfaces for all of the computers are just Fisher-Price icons. Turns out that's actually the best design philosophy. So you hit your Fisher-Price icon that's relevant. It tells you the problem with your car. You select the dealerships that you like based off of what your make model is, what's closest to you. There's a nice little algorithm that serves them up in a convenient way. And then more pressingly, you can select the times at which you're available to come in. At this point, our phone agents call all of the dealerships that you said. We're using Dasha for the phone agents if anyone is trying to do AI phone agents. It's a great software. And then it can check the availability and ask for an estimate. Shockingly, there is no application available that does any of this right now. There is no service referral for dealerships. There is no way to get a dealership service appointment other than just calling 5 or 6 or however many dealerships you want to get quotes from. And so as a result, we're going to be able to release this component first before our hardware is ready to ship in June, July. How this plays into the broader strategy of the business is that after we've sent 3 or 4 people to a given dealership, makes it very easy to call them up and say, hey, you've already been making money as a result of Saferide's products. Wouldn't you like to sign up for the subscription that can get you more service referrals? And then after they've done that, calling them up again and saying, hey, we've got something you can make more money on every car you sell, helps a little bit as well. So sort of a story of discovering pressing customer needs while you're on the way to delivering your main product.
All right, so full disclosure, I know Will. I knew he was going to nail it. We're going to give him some honest feedback. Are you ready for honest feedback?
I only like dishonest feedback.
Okay, great. So this next round of applause is only if you actually really found this presentation interesting.
My God. Thank you. Thank you, people.
It's great when people present, but this was a great presentation. This is a product he's been working on for a long time. Will also recently closed a funding round and decided to let Las Vegas be home. And I fucking love that, because I love Las Vegas and I love seeing it grow. So, all right, Will, any questions for Will?
Yeah,
okay, now
questions.
there's an important part here. Before I hear from anybody, if you're not speaking into this mic, none of the viewers at home will know what happened, and it makes them sad. They've told me before. I kid you not, I got emails about this.
All right. Well, great presentation. My question is on the second product, the one that you're going to launch first. Mm-hmm. So that's not connected to the CAN bus yet?
Correct. No. So there's basically, if you think about the demand side for a marketplace, right, you want to make it as wide as possible. If you require hardware to connect to CAN bus, then you can limit yourself to like the 30 million or so cars that have some type of OBD dongle installed.
Yeah.
We can connect to those over Bluetooth and gather the codes directly. But realistically, the 300 million drivers on the road, majority of them don't have any type of connection, and most of them just want to get this done as fast and as simply as possible. So if you have the dongle, we can connect to that over Bluetooth and grab the code and do higher fidelity. But if you don't have that, then you just press whatever button is showing up on your dashboard.
Got it. So like there's a trigger and then you press the button.
Correct. Exactly.
And then eventually you would be doing like prescriptive or predictive once the hardware is connected to CAN bus?
Oh, absolutely. For anyone that has a Saferide unit actually wired into their car, we're monitoring the CAN bus data at all times, and so that's when we can tell you, hey, before there's a light on your engine, before there's a transmission replacement that you need, shifting out of time, see from the data, therefore, go get your service done.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, we're at time. That was fabulous. More applause, more applause.
Thank you.
Will is already forgetting there to take off his mic.
I am.
It's almost like I've hosted this a few times, and I know what the missteps are going to be. Okay. So, Ben also loves Las Vegas. Yeah. Oh, we're getting some love from Kurt. So, he's going to get set up here.
Let me get on here.
And then I'm going to turn on the internet. Fun public, we'll do a public service announcement here. If you want to present, email me, Josh, at big T as in Tom, B as in boy, or big as in bigtechnologybuilders.com. And also, there is not Wi-Fi here anymore. So I am sharing my Wi-Fi with Ben because I'm a good sharer, just like Daniel the Tiger taught me. Tough crowd. Connected and secure. What more could you want in life? All right. So, big round of applause for Ben. Did he give you the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have the talking stick, so I'm good. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to share this. This is something we've been working on for a little while, and this is literally the first time I've had an opportunity to share it in a group like this. This is conventionsolutions.vegas. First, a quick little update about me. My company is called Hunter Marketing. We're a local marketing agency that is coming up on 12 years old. Internally, we do WordPress development, hosting, social, search, the usual suspects we do branding and strategy for our clients. So we have a great set of capabilities. Separately, before my company, I worked in product management and for several online directory companies, including yellowpages.com back in the early days when we were like, it's just like the book, only online, so that dates me as far as the internet. Separate from our client work, because we have all kinds of local clients, we've put together some resources that we've been operating for the city, and this leads into the convention project I'm going to share. First is network.vegas, which is a business calendar and directory for the city. So think of it as a directory of every professional association in town, every chamber in town. There's about 20 chambers in town now. Another one just launched this week. And there previously was nowhere to get all the events in one calendar. So we bring the conventions and the business events into one space. And we do a similar task for Tech Vegas, which is all the startup resources and events in one calendar as best we can. So you can join these sites for free. If you have events or any resources you want to offer, they're also free to list on our properties. And we're just trying to provide services to the community, things that I know I needed when I was trying to fill out, where am I going to go and what am I going to do in my business. Getting back to the project at hand, I don't know that I need to do too much work to convince you that the convention industry is a large one in this town. It is a massive beast, and this is 2022 numbers. 2023 numbers and 4 are going to be even blowing these away. But it is a massive number of people that come here just for conventions. They spend a great deal of money aside from their convention work here. It supports 38,000 jobs in the city, and it's billions of dollars of annual revenue. We believe that there is an opportunity to help the discoverability for convention organizers, to connect the attendees, the organizers, the exhibitors for conventions with great services here locally. We think there's a really good opportunity. I think we all know that search has become more of a fragmented process these days. People are on all kinds of different platforms, and we believe that putting all of the data of these providers in one place and making it easy for discoverability is a value that will be worthwhile for all these parties. So our mission is connecting those convention people with local services, experiences, and events. How do we intend to make money doing this? Which is, I think, an important piece. Well, first, the site is a freemium model as far as membership. So if you're a business owner who wants to list your business, there are free options, but we also have paid options in a kind of common way that directories are often run, so that if you want to be found at the top, if you want a more expansive listing, you would pay us extra. And then we have sponsorship options we're rolling out. We have advertising options and affiliate revenue on the site, so we're connected with the usual suspects for travel, which is your Booking.com, your Expedia, your Vegas.com affiliate revenue, and we have all the shows and attractions and activities that you might do around town already listed on the site. And then we'll be selling products and services. So we've launched our first ebook, which will be something that people can buy on here. We have a lot of marketing partnerships through our agency. So we have, many of you know, am I saying it right? Evolution, the influencer platform that's based out of here. So we'll be connecting people with influencers, connecting the conventions with influencers. We've got programmatic partners so that we'll be able to market on behalf of conventions or exhibitors from the moment someone books their convention travel to the time they're here in a geofenced setup, even past when they're here to when they go back home. So we'll have campaigns that we can facilitate through the site, and we have the opportunity for other marketing partnerships through the site. How do we intend to grow an audience? We will have all of the social media launching this month. We are pretty expert at showing up in searches on Google. Our current sites, like Network Vegas, often outranks the conventions currently, and we plan to double down on that. And we're going to be able to show up for not only the convention itself, but each of these individual types of services. So convention speaker, convention videographer, convention booth rental, all of these individual searches we're going to be targeting so that we show up prominently in those. We have had some success, and we're going to go deeper into convention partnerships. The conventions look for local services and media outlets to try and promote what they've got going on, and we plan to be a good partner there. That also gives us access to a lot of the conventions, so we plan to have folks going and doing coverage of the conventions. And the third is content partnerships. We will be launching a creator program in the next 2 weeks that will allow people to partner with us so that we can have a lot more, it's a content world that we live in. We want to make sure we're covering these conventions and the different folks that are working the conventions very well. Our site, pardon me, our site already has a pretty robust directory, and we're just going to keep growing on that. So we'll have convention services very well represented in that. All the different things, if you're an exhibitor, for example, what are all the things that you need to have a successful time at the convention? Well, perhaps last minute you need some print collateral. Well, printers are there. If you need videographers, photographers, if you need booth talent, if you need booth attractions or games, there's just this endless series of different things that might help you have a successful show. Outside of that, business services, you need to partner with a local attorney. You need somebody in town. You need office space. You might event services. You might want to have an event for your top clients. A lot of people come to town and they try and put on a private event. Well, having knowledge of the spaces in town or the different event planners that are here is just invaluable if you're trying to pull something like that off. And right now, when you're looking for all these services, you can do a whole lot of different individual searches on Google, and you can sit there and try and figure it out, but the data just doesn't exist really in one place in an organized format, and that's the need we're trying to fill. In addition, we've got great travel resources, fun and hospitality, so we'll have restaurant listings, and we already have all the, as I said, the Vegas.com type of local attractions and things you might want to do. In addition to that, we have a robust calendar of all the conventions, and then we're developing visitor guides for some of the larger conventions. So imagine how many of you went to CES, right? If you were trying to figure out an event around CES, and I know Kurt had several himself. Kurt's got his own platform. Eventbrite is filled with stuff. You can go to Google, you can go to the social media, but trying to find all that stuff in one place would be valuable, especially if you're trying to figure out or plan your way around town. And it's sort of chaotic right now that the data is in a lot of places. Our company is already very well practiced at pulling that in and making it easy to understand in one place in a sort of clean format. So the visitor guides will be something that we think is, there's not really, other than individual blog posts or videos you might find, it's not really a convention visitor guide for some of these large conventions when you come to town. That outside of the convention's own website, which is all the official, the sessions and speakers and things, but that whole satellite of world of events that goes around the convention isn't really captured in one place that we hope to fill a need that way. I'll pull up the site. How much time do I have?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to the wrong part. So the site is live right now, although I have been describing it as it's barely out of the oven. We have a lot that we're adding to it right now. You can search the directory, and then we have little teasers for all the different sections of the site. We're adding our entertainment calendar, so we're going to have every Ticketmaster, concert and show in here as well. So we're hoping to have an awful lot of ways that people can partner with us. We're hoping to be very friendly as a convention partner as well as a vendor partner. Right now we're looking for people who might want to join the site, who might want to be sponsors, people who might want to be content partners. So we're talking to different videographers around town who cover conventions, and we're welcoming those kind of partnerships. And our directory is coming along, so we're adding, so each of these, you can have your own page on there to add things, and then as the site grows, we can launch things like bookings through the site, and like might add a job board. There's all kinds of different features we could add, but right now we're just trying to get the core offering out there and to find partners for the process. So Josh, how about if I turn it back over and let you?
Yeah, well, big round of applause for Ben. I've known Ben for a while. This is pretty outstanding. So, we got some time for some questions. Raise your hand if you got any questions. Okay. Oh. We're going to start with Will.
Excuse me.
What's the URL again?
Conventionsolutions.vegas.
So there's a lot of different types of vendors. Oh, sorry, I forget. This doesn't make it loud in the room. There's a lot of different types of vendors that you need to, provide on this platform. Which categories of vendors are you guys sort of the most filled out with right now, and which categories of vendors are you guys sort of looking to add more to at the moment?
I'd like to add more speakers. That's quite a large category in town. I'd like the speaker part of the directory to be very robust. We have an excellent number of like all the Vegas shows and activities, because that's something that we can pull in as a mass. And then we went out and we've got a couple dozen in a lot of different categories: booth rental, booth design, videographer, photographer. We've got a lot of those kind of things. I think event planners is another area that we'd like to see a lot more activity on there.
All right, we had another question back here. The mic is traveling, the mic is traveling. We're gonna make sure the viewers at home get it.
Just a quick question. You mentioned about the Ticketmaster incorporating into the. So the biggest problem with this Ticketmaster or StubHub is they list a ticket for $80. By the time you buy it, it's $150 because of their fees. So they are like, monopolies.
Yeah.
So do you have any mechanism that does not add those fees, or it's just pretty much you get one from the Ticketmaster and just list it in your site?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second half of that very well.
Is there any mechanic to limit the fees, I believe is the question.
I have the same feeling about those platforms, but no, I don't have any answers about the fees that are involved in ticketing. It's onerous, yeah.
Okay, we've got another question in the back here.
Hi, my name is Mira. So I have a question for you. Do you have a feature where people can leave comments? Just because I know that that's also a very big thing for other directories such as Yelp, and that's what gains a lot of traction, but that will also, that can also affect how people perceive other businesses. If there's bad reviews, are you gonna have a way for them to pay off to get the bad reviews taken off?
I have the capability of activating reviews. I have it turned off at the moment because my concern was that a new site with features that aren't being used, and because it's new, it's not being used, that kind of looks a little desolate. And I'm considering when it's a good time, or if we're going to turn on the review process, because there's a lot of behavior you have to manage when you all of a sudden have to deal with reviews. Any business owner I've ever known, if you mention the word Yelp, you kind of got to listen to like a 10-minute little rant of frustration because Yelp is difficult. Excellent. So I have not at this time launched the reviews.
All right, so another round of applause for Ben. So for the first time since I've been hosting Demo Time, I will be presenting. And so you don't have to sit here awkwardly watching me put my laptop together. Julian's going to introduce me, as if most of you don't know me already. But he was wondering when he'd know it would be his time to do it. Now's the time, Julian. Now, whenever you're ready. We just have the whole, all right. Round of applause for Julian.
So I have to entertain you until he is ready. Tell us a joke. That's funny. Do you guys know his email is Josh at big as in large, T as in Tom, B as in boy. He's not a tomboy though. He's a great guy. He's very interesting. If you don't know him, you should. He's been a developer for as long as I've known him, and which is not very long. Probably 6 months. I sure didn't. Other than that, does anyone have any other questions before we get into his presentation?
Ben, maybe you could do it. You can add to that.
There we go.
All right.
Expand more about Josh and his background.
I've gotten to know Josh over the last 2 years. I really enjoy his company. I like his attitude. I think Josh and I disagree if we talked about the world, about 500,000 things, but I've never had a problem having a conversation with him or a disagreement that wasn't cordial, and I very much appreciate that He's a very creative person. He's open-minded. He's very technically competent, and he's funny AF. So, how are we doing? Do I need to keep going?
Great, thank you.
All right.
These wonderful people.
Oh, here's the talking stick.
Oh, I have the talking stick again. Okay. Hi, everyone. Stacy for Senate. We got 28% of the vote with $1,500. Opponent had $100,000. Next time, maybe. All right. So, I love technology. And one of the things I love about technology is the ability it has to radically improve things. Oh, I'm kidding. Okay. There was some signal from the front, but apparently it was nothing. These people. So, one of the problems with technology is just making it easy. One of the things that my company specializes in is taking technology that last inch and making it very useful. So we've had a really exciting challenge with AI because it has so many great capabilities, solves so many problems, but how do we actually make it useful? All right, we'll get into that. So first, what is McKinsey & Company? Raise your hand if you even know what the name, okay, McKinsey & Company, I see a few. Okay, it's a huge consulting firm. They have an About Us mission. I think their mission's to make money, and they're pretty fucking good at it. Their average engagement, $500,000 to $1 million or more. I actually think those are low numbers. Their consultants, literally they'll bill out at $10,000 a day. I don't know anything I could do that would be worth $10,000 a day, but they figured it out. The clients include Fortune 500 companies, governments, and of course, global elites. This is according to ChatGPT language, but it sounds a little like Alex Jones. Okay, annual revenue over $10 billion. Like, that's a lot of goddamn money. So you might say, oh, yes, you can tell by the numbers this was generated by AI. Those commas make no sense. Anyway, this is the depiction of the board of, I think this is, okay, so why, if you guys like that, this next one's good. Why do companies pay millions for consultants? For the same reason a divorce is expensive. It's worth it. Okay, to help solve problems you can't solve alone. So, they can help you avoid costly mistakes, save you time when time is money, and they deliver results that justify their expense. And a lot of times we'll see technologies that are adopted, we're like, wow, we can turn water into dirt. You're like, that's neat, but why does it matter? And so with management consulting companies, a lot of times they're looking at financial reports and outcomes and impacts and a lot of these things. So they're looking at complicated data through the lens of also having looked at the complicated data a lot of times before, a lot of different ways, and seeing how things have and have not worked in other companies. And this knowledge gets passed on. That's a part of why they're just there. There's really not a great alternative. If you're a Fortune 500 company and you need help, there's only a few people you can call for help, and McKinsey & Company is one of them. Now meet Grace & Company. Okay, so these are AI agents. There's 12 of them, and they're tailored specifically to address specific problems and cohesively. So Grace is like the main point of contact. She's the primary, the generalist. Really, she'll do an intake. She'll ask you 70 questions about your business, come up with a score, come up with a plan, give you a roadmap of things that you can do, and then talk you through how to do them. She's available 24/7, as are her team, and all of these agents are specialized with not just the context of what they know, right? They also know everything that you've had the discussion with about it. So for example, if your strategic vision is to sell a new product, it'll actually incorporate that into any of the subsequent questions. So I'm sure there will be questions about that. They all work together to help you, like I was saying. So, centralized board of advisors. First, we've got Grace. She's the strategist. She looks around, all sorts of stuff, you know, a 360-degree view of everything, but maybe not a in the weeds discussion. Then we've got Clara, customer success strategist. And why do we have a separate AI agent for this? Why do we have a separate model? I'll give you a little bit of nerd speak for it, and it's not a big deal if you don't follow, but the AI models do a lot better when you give them context. And so by making this interface work such that you're asking everything to work in one narrow focus, you get a lot better quality. And we're also saying it's not just, here's general customer success stuff. Look at this through the lens of everything that I've already told you about my business. And so you also find they're not as confused wandering around different aspects of the business. It's like we're only working to solve this one problem. It's also how people, okay, so we've got Nina, the number navigator. Raise your hand if you're good with numbers. All right, not all of us. So ChatGPT is really bad with numbers, which is why it's important to customize these so that way you're actually getting good output. One of the neat things about the way this product's been designed is not just can we change models, but we can have different companies serving different models, and even more interestingly, we can actually hand off tasks to do to agents and or humans. So for example, on the back end of this, we can set it up to work with some project management software we have. So if somebody says, they get a recommendation, oh, you need to launch a new social media strategy, great. So you go to, and it'd be cool if I had this next one figured out. Okay, where is she? Connie, the content creation curator. Yes, there's a lot of alliteration in these. I was really feeling it, and I just went for it. So, but if you ask Connie, say, hey, give us a 12-month content guideline, she's not going to wander around and give you long walls of text about things that are irrelevant. This is a model that's specifically going to try to solve that, again, having the context of everything that you've already discussed with all of the other team. It's a team of consultants. Chloe's a really cool one. Chloe is not going to be your general counsel. It's not going to be your attorney. But one of the things that economically makes a lot of sense for a product like this is if you talk to an attorney, and I spent a little over $300,000 in attorneys. So, not that I have any feelings on them. A lot of what you'll spend time and money doing with an attorney is just getting the vernacular and understanding of what's going on. Oh, I got sued, or oh, I need to have a terms of service, or someone sent me over this agreement and I don't know what it looks like, I don't understand it. You can go back and forth with this. If you pay an attorney by the hour, which is how most of them work, if you can save yourself even a half hour of talking to the attorney because you're starting off better understanding what's going on, this thing more than pays for itself. And it's across all of the areas of specialty. So if you're trying to figure out, there's another one I really like, super useful here. His name's Victor. He's the venture validator, Kurt. What Victor does here is Victor will sit there and really grill you on an idea. And the whole idea is this is not a solutions-oriented model. It's not going to try to, as much as it is, I'll revise. It's not a creative model. It's more grinding it into reality. So you've got a great idea for a shrimp business. Well, he's going to talk you through all this stuff. So you can go around and Google stuff or watch videos, or you can talk to Victor. Okay, Felix, the financial modeler. You get the idea. There's 12 of them. They're awesome. Okay, so you get a little dashboard. As you can see, I'll hop over here for dramatic effect. There's 7 different pillars of the business, and it segments out actionable items by each of them. So basically, much like a car with a dashboard of failures potentially, warning indicators, there's different parts of a business and you tackle the problems differently. And so by segmenting out what we're looking at using models that are already focused, we're helping solve the contextualization issue that plagues a lot of AI products, especially if they're trying to interact with people who aren't regularly using them. So it's agents managing agents. Okay. And last but certainly not least, and I'm going to drive in on this, one of the things that I think is so exciting about this is its ability to actually help create jobs for humans. So you might say, well, Josh, it's kind of weird. You've got 11 AI agents here, 12 AI agents, and how are those creating jobs for humans? And the answer is, let's say somebody wants to do the content creation. Creating new social media pages is much easier for an individual at a computer, and the platforms hate when it's automated. And so there's some stuff that you're always going to want to farm out to a human, and what this does is allow us to have a cohesive set of data in a structured database, so this way we can push it out to wherever we need to push it out. So this way, if you're wanting a vendor to create the social media, it's not just, hey, I need social media, it's, here, Connie put together this content creation, or put together all this content for the next 12 months. Can you push this out on the social media sites that make sense? And also you could ask Connie, like, what social media platforms should I be on based off of my customers? My customers are usually 30 to 50-year-old women. Where are they? That kind of stuff. So, the end. Round of applause for Josh. All right, now I did this to Will, I'm going to do it to myself, and please believe me when I tell you I like honest feedback. Give me a round of applause if you thought this was at least pretty cool. All right, smaller but still a good rumble. Love it, love it. I'll just say you're so tired from clapping your hands. I like that a lot. Okay, so Who has any questions about this? Okay, I'm going to hand the mic to someone here who's going to hand it back, and then we're going to do it this way.
So Josh, you and I have talked a little bit about the way AI loses the plot on the engineering side sometimes if your development questions are too complex and you have to kind of keep trying to pare things back. And some business problems are going to be compact enough where this doesn't come up. But for somebody who's really doing something complicated, how do you handle, kind of breaking it into chunks to make sure that you don't lose track of one while you're working on another? How have you handled complexity other than just breaking it between these 12 expert agents?
All right, so that's a great question. I'll tackle it a few different ways. For those that aren't necessarily super technical, there is a word that was used that's super important and very popular in AI, which is context window. So that's, if you think about the number of things that you could think about at the same time, that's the context. So if I say you have a context window of 2, I say there's a cat, a dog, and a snake in the bag. What's in the bag? You would forget about the cat because it's the first thing and you can only remember 2. So the question is essentially, businesses are very complicated. How do you maintain all of that? And a part of it is organizing the way that the information flows. So as a starting point, what we do is we do an initial assessment of everything, come up with a cohesive plan, and then we stick on attacking that. And it's very iterative. So for example, like let's say a business is having a hard time with generating sales, which virtually every business has that as a problem. It's unique if they don't. Then they're going to need social media. And then from that point, it's what are some other ways we can tackle it so each task itself is kept small and manageable, easy within the context window. And a part of the reason why we organized it with the 12 agents is because it allows us to really focus the questions that are being asked, so that way we keep it really tight and can give good feedback. All right, what other questions we got? Oh, it's got a, all right, yep. Yeah, you guys got to do it like the mosh pit. Okay.
First, how do you make money, and then what are you charging your customers?
How do I make money? I'm really fucking good at engineering things so that when I charge money, I make a lot of money off of it. I'll answer the question here. It's about $2.99 a month is what we're offering this at. It might go up or down based off of sort of the way that the services are being offered. So a lot of the value in this is actually after the implementation, meaning if a client uses this, they're going to need a lot of things after this to start implementing it, and that's probably going to be 4 to 50 times the amount of revenue that's changing hands on just this advisory piece. But it's sort of like saying, let's give your company like a co-pilot that's going to go through and put together a plan, and the first order of action is freeing up the resources to be able to execute more. And so that's why it's priced the way it is, because if you spend $300 on it, then you're going to be able to see you should be able to, if you're a company of any size, you should see tangible improvements. And especially if you're involved in anything that's resource heavy, like litigation or any financial modeling and stuff, and you need to ask some above beginner level questions, but don't want to pay $300, $500, $800 an hour for an attorney, a consultant, whatever, that's the opportunity there. Okay, where's the mic? Raise your hand if you got the mic, and then, oh, it's moving. The mic is moving song, brought to you by Josh.
Do you have a functionality of rating the risk as a part of the advice?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Functionality of rating the risk, like insurance companies do, that's rating the risk.
Do like risk rating?
Yeah, as a part of the advisors.
No, so as part of these advisors, like these are, so most language models at this point in most areas are scoring like 95th percentile or better expertise. They're not perfect, but they're really good. So to be able to have a set of 12 of them to sit there and really bang out, that's sort of the idea on the pricing, is to say, look, for $300 a month, where are you going to get this many different services all coordinated with themselves? And then because again, we have everything in a structured and like self-hosted database, we're able to then, if, for example, with insurance rating, we could create a workflow for doing insurance rating. So like for actuaries. So if they wanted to feed in their actuary data, we could have the AI agents actually, like we could build out additional agents basically to do extra functionality.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. All right, the mic is now going where? Oh, it's going to the right.
So I think to give relevant consulting advice to company, usually you probably need industry-specific or even company-specific data how do you get those private data, or do you plan to use those private data to train your models?
So that's a great question. I'm going to push back on the premise that we need industry-specific data, to the sense that a lot of times the business isn't that unique. Let's use, for example, a pet store, a dentist, and a carnival. They're all businesses, but they all are attacking the same several pillars, right? They've got people. They've got to manage the people that are in their thing. They've got to manage their sales process. They've got to manage their marketing. And that'll look different in them, but fundamentally a lot of the mechanics are the same. And this is also, generally, we're not talking about like Fortune 500 companies that are like blazing and trending. We're talking about usually companies under 100 million a year, all the way down to like, I just have an idea. And so for $300, I can spend forever going through it with all of these guys and come up with a plan. Or if you've got a business, let's say you're making 50K a year, you know, you're a plumber and you want to go from 50K in revenues to 150K. Like, it's a really good use case for that. But the other sort of expanded roadmap on it is, we can have these be individualized per employees. So this way, let's say you had a company with 15 employees and they're all using a set of advisors, it could contextualize what each of them are doing in harmony with each other and really lead to a lot better cohesion and better communication, better like moving in sync. All right. Any other? Oh, we need the mic to come down here. Also got to see how much time I have left here.
So you have kind of a two-sided market, right? So that's you're charging $299 to your customers. What are you charging to the people you're referring people out to?
So we're doing fulfillment in-house on most of it. So for example, the way that we're looking at it, the value proposition is we're an easy solution. So let's say we'll use the plumber example. I'm a plumber. I'm grossing 100K a year. I'm making 50K a year. It's too much damn work. I want to make more money and ideally work less. So that person doesn't want to find out, oh, you need to hire a social media creator. And then they go hire that person. They go do this. It's just a bunch of extra tasks. So it's, okay, now that Connie has your content ready, would you like to hire, a vendor to do that? We manage all of the fulfillment. We pay out the vendor doing the fulfillment or do it in-house. And then it's all on our cognitive load, not on theirs. That's the basis on it.
Well, I mean, do these guys pay you a fee to be a part of your crew?
So as it sits right now, I'm living in a fantasy world where I get to build products that I like and I don't have to worry as much about revenue on this. So I'm more interested in hitting that metric of customers having an outstanding experience. And so we want it to be, okay, I bought the social media service, and literally the next 48 hours later, I saw all of my social media accounts. And since we're importing the order information, we're also seeing on socials every time somebody orders, I'm a plumber, every time I do a hot water heater, I show a picture of the install, it's automatically getting fed through that. So it's enhancing the capabilities of the individual and offloading that cognitive load. This is something that management consultant companies won't understand because they have whole teams that will do implementation. At a small business level, guys already working 25 hours in a 24-hour day. There isn't more resources. Grace & Company creates more resources. Excellent. All right. Well, round of applause if you think I deserve it. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to grab the mic right now just to make sure that I don't forget. Okay. Now, one of the things that I love about demo time, many people will take you to an event, but how often do you get to mingle with the people that presented and the person sitting next to you? Well, that's just what we're going to do. So if you want to talk to anybody that presented, they're here. The rest of the time is just sort of open networking, discussion, friendliness, whatever. So thank you so much. And one last time, big round of applause. Thank you.